the biggest story for the moment out of Washington isn't the executive orders or the confirmation hearings, but sadly that tragic plane crash in which an American Airlines commuter jet flying into Washington was struck by a Black Hawk helicopter apparently on a training mission. It left no survivors among the 64 passengers and crew on board the jet, nor among the 3 brave crewmen on the chopper. But, of course, this being Washington and the age of Trump, naturally some ghoulish commentators on the left immediately tried to make it all about politics, which is another way of saying making it all about them.
It's January 29th. We are just 9 days out from a presidential transition, an administrative transition. The FAA administrator resigned at the end of the Biden administration, so there is no permanent confirmed FAA administrator right now.
Yeah, we saw what you did there, CNN, and others went further, and guess what? We've got receipts. Nashville, Tennessee's NC5 reporter Phil Williams wrote, quote, that President Trump offered unprecedented buyouts to all federal employees at a time when the FAA does not have enough air traffic controllers to keep us all safe. More people will die, he said. Now, charming, sure, but also inaccurate for a number of reasons. And keep his point about air traffic controllers in mind, because we're going to get to that in a second. But also, there are plenty of others, like, to take one example, political journalist David Friedlander, who hit out at the Trump administration, saying that 8 days ago they issued an executive order freezing hiring of air traffic controllers, linking to a Democrat press release describing that freeze as dangerous. Well, do you see the theme? Trump comes to office, tries to cut spending, planes fall out of the sky, and innocent people die. This is, of course, illogical, wrong, and the worst sort of moral blackmail. But more than that, it's also factually completely incorrect. Point 1. Now, there is some question about whether or not the hiring freeze even applied to air traffic controllers, but either way, to be an air traffic controller, well, you've got to spend months and months and months at an FAA academy in Oklahoma training, and then spend between 1 and 3 years in on-the-job training before you become a certified controller. Now, somehow Trump's critics think that this process could have been squeezed down to a week. Okay, but point 2, if there is a hiring problem at the FAA, it is this. Like everything else in American society, the FAA, whose job it is to keep planes from falling out of the sky, decided somewhere along the way that it was supposed to actually change the world and remake society through various diversity initiatives. In 2024, the Washington Times newspaper revealed a treasure trove of documents that came out of an Obama-era directive that explicitly rejected would-be air traffic controllers on the basis of race. They could have been qualified, but if they were white, no thanks. One document they revealed even asked the question, how much of a change in job performance is acceptable to achieve what diversity goals? Well, my answer, and I would hope the answer of every sane human being, is if I'm on board a plane that the FAA is in charge of, none. There is no change performance that is acceptable. Sorry. And it gets worse. Job listings on the FAA website have even called for people with developmental and psychiatric disorders to join their ranks. And Donald Trump hit back in a press conference at this as only he could.
Various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so.
That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense. okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game at the highest level.
Well, there you have it. Look, it's a plane crash. It's a terrible tragedy. And I say this is not an opportunity for political point scoring. Except this is 2025, and this happened in the heart of Washington, so of course it will be. Now, in an ideal world, we would let the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board do their thing, but apparently that's impossible. So let me also say this. Those who try to use this accident as a baseball bat against Trump are only going to wind up hitting themselves in the face.